From reddit.com. Here are some stories from the Tales from Your Server subreddit. Our first story is called Please Don't Ask Your Server to Surprise You with a Meal. You're a grown adult, order your own food. This is a story from a few years ago, but is still one of my favorites. I worked in a small town restaurant. There was only one other restaurant in the town at the time, so lunchtime would get pretty busy with local farmers, local oil rig guys, and other people that worked around town. I had a 8-top of oil rig gentleman from out of state. So, this particular young gentleman decided he was going to flirt with me from the very beginning. Not even cute flirting, just obnoxious flirting. I also had a BF. I had a full restaurant, and other stuff to attend to, so I didn't have time to sit around and flirt, nor did I want to. The time comes to order food. Everybody else in the group is real straightforward, easy, nice. I get to him and he says, "Well, I don't know what I want, sweat pea, why don't you surprise me, wink. I hate when people do this. You're a grown adult, you should know what you want to eat. I don't know a single thing about you other than you're cringeworthy." I try asking him to at least narrow it down for me and he won't. So, after making sure he doesn't have any food allergies, I give in and agree. What did I order for him? The spiciest pasta on the menu. I did ask him if he liked spicy and his response was, "I do if you do." Cringe. Being a small town restaurant, 90% of our menu was made from scratch. So, I made sure to tell the cook that cooked his pasta to make it extra spicy because of above reasons. The cook gladly added extra chipotles, jalapenos and habaneros. I bring out the food. Let them all dig in. I check back after 5 minutes asking how everything is. Everyone, except for Homeboy, said it was great. Homeboy couldn't answer because he was too busy holding back tears from how spicy it was. I leave and hear all of his buddies burst out laughing and say he deserved it. Another guy ended up paying for his meal and tipping me well over 20%. So, in the end it worked out, and good lord did it feel good to finally give someone what they deserved and asked for. This story is called I'm a Server Too. Bitch, no you're not. I had the most annoying table at work today, and just wanted to vent about it. I work at a casual, family-style Greek restaurant. Today at lunch, I got seated with a party of 4, 2 women, and 2 toddlers. You know how sometimes, you can tell right off the bat that a table is going to be difficult before they even say anything? This was one of those times. I go to the table to greet them and their youngest toddler has already thrown 2 of their 4 menus on the floor. Neither of the ladies seems to care or bother to pick up the menus. So I take the menus and replace them with clean ones, then come back to greet them. They tell me they've never been here before, and start pointing to various items on the menu and asking me, is X item good? Is Y item good? The whole time the toddlers are screaming like banshees, so I can barely hear what these ladies are saying. They finally ask for a few more minutes to decide. When I come back, 2 more menus are on the floor. They start asking me more questions. One of the women asks me if our Greek-style spaghetti is good. Personally I love it, but the sauce has a unique seasoning that some people, usually people who are not very adventurous eaters, don't like. We also have many customers who love it. I have a feeling that this lady is not going to like it, so I tell her that while I personally enjoy the Greek spaghetti, our chicken pasta dish is more popular. I tell her what the sauce is seasoned with and mention that it is a kind of unique flavor that some people like, and others don't. I basically tried everything I could to steer this lady away from the Greek spaghetti. She decides to order it anyway. The other lady orders a gyro, and something from the kids' menu for the older toddler. I serve them the salads that come with their meal, and everything is okay for a while, aside from the fact that the youngest toddler is still shrieking at the top of his lungs. Not regular crying, literally shrieking as if he's being murdered, while the 2 women do absolutely nothing to try to calm him down. Other tables are starting to glare at them. I bring out their entrees, the gyro and Greek spaghetti. After I drop off the entrees, I go to get them drink refills. When I come back, the lady with the gyro, which we never get complaints about, has already taken 3 bites and decided that she doesn't like it. She says that she wants to replace it with the Greek spaghetti that her friend has. Great. The Greek spaghetti comes out, and I serve it to her. Her friend is still eating hers and hasn't complained about it yet, so I go to help some other tables. A few minutes later when I go back to check on them, they've both, surprise, surprise, decided that they don't like the Greek spaghetti. The younger woman says to me, "I don't like to complain, but we both just don't like this. It has a weird taste. And I'm a server too, I work in the service industry. But this just isn't good. Is there a way we can get it taken off?" I tell her that I don't have the authority to comp 2 entrees by myself, so I'll have to go get the manager. The manager comes over and comps their entrees. So these women have basically gotten 3 entrees for free. He charges them for their salads, drinks, and the kids' meal. Finally, to my relief, they pay and leave. Just out of curiosity, I go and check the credit card receipt. No tip, and nothing on the table either. Stiffed, 3 days before Christmas. I'm a server too. Bitch, no you're not. No server would ever decide to stiff their waitress because they didn't like the food. Literally every server knows that the waitress can't control how the food tastes, or predict if you will like it or not. Although in this case, I did predict that they wouldn't like it, lol. I just hope that I never have to wait on those women again. It's been a long time since I've had a table that annoying. This story is called When Someone You Know Attempts to Dine and Dash. This story is from about 5 years ago. I was working at a certain 24-hour chain diner as the overnight server. I'd had my fair share of teenagers trying to skip out on their bill, but this one just takes the cake. It was about 3 a.m. and a group of 10 boys come in. I walk up to greet the table and realize, I know one of them. He's my sister-in-law's younger brother. I greet him by name, ask him how he's doing. The other boys ask how we know each other and I tell them his sister is married to my brother. For the record, I was 22 when this happened and he was 16. I start taking their orders and some of the boys order themselves 2 meals. Little alarm bells are going off in my head. This is usually a sign that these kids aren't planning on paying. But I think to myself, surely they wouldn't dine and dash when they know I know one of them, right? Wrong. After they finish their food, while I'm busy helping another table, they run. I'm not having it. I still had Syl's mom's phone number from helping plan the baby shower for my niece. So I pull out my phone and send her a message. Something along the lines of, "Sorry to bother you at 4 in the morning, but I wanted to let you know that your son was just here and he and his friends rang up quite a bill and then split without paying for it." She called me back several hours later, during normal people times. She was mortified and apologized profusely. She let me know that she had dragged him out of bed, demanded a list of every other boy he was with and made him walk to these people's houses. She had him talk to their parents and tell them what happened and then collect money from the other boys and drove him back to the restaurant to pay. He wasn't able to collect enough to pay the whole bill, but hopefully the experience was enough to keep them all from ever pulling anything like that again. I just wish it was always that easy to catch a dine and dash culprit. This story is called Pro Tip: if a guest looks like a trash bag, push your state's mask mandate. I've done this a couple times since our mask mandate in my state got more strict. Now everyone is required to wear their mask anytime they aren't actively eating or drinking. It's honestly nonsense because nobody is enforcing it the way it's supposed to be enforced. It's exhausting and the mask comes off as soon as water is poured, and I've been working for the last few months with various rules that really don't protect me one bit. So, when someone sits down and they look like a piece of shit, the dude with the Confederate flag gaiter around his neck before he even received a drink, I politely remind them of the new rule. Both times I've pushed it, the guest pushed back. Confederate gaiter dude started talking about medical exemptions, doesn't matter in my state, no mask, no service, and I was all too happy to get the manager for him. Manager tells him the same thing and then tells him to kick rocks. Spared me the sales that I wouldn't be tipped on and I don't have to interact with douchebags. I hope gator dude got denied service at every restaurant he tried to pull that shit at and had to eat fast food in the cold. This story is called What's Your Name? To provide some context, where I live you're limited to parties of 4 in public places. You should only interact with people in your own party, and bars close at 8 p.m. However, my place of work is exploiting a legal loophole to remain open beyond those hours. Disclaimer, I don't agree with the exploitation, but I need to pay rent, making us one of a handful of bars in town that's open late. As such, we're under much closer scrutiny by the authorities and my employers have given us a fair amount of liberty in ensuring customers follow the guidelines. The following happened last night, during these hours. It's been a relatively slow evening, but enough to keep us on our toes. There's 1 or 2 troubled tables where me and my colleague keep finding ourselves needing to fix things. They're switching tables, intermingling with others, standing up, pulling chairs closer together, generally doing things that are a big no-no. I've now gone up to one of these tables for the 6th time trying to calmly explain why they can't be doing this and to please just follow the rules when one of the group interjects and tells me I'm being unreasonable. "You're welcome to go to a different bar where you find the bartenders more reasonable," I say, to which he replies, "I think I will, even after Corona and these regulations have ended." Now, I'm tired. I've had the same discussion over and over for the past 9 months. I'm just trying to pay bills and not get sick. I'm tired of arguing with these people who think the rules are up for discussion, so I tell him, you know what, I'm gonna make this real easy for you. Get out. Are you serious? Completely. What's your name? I know exactly where this is going. Why do you need my name? Do you want to talk to my manager? Yeah, I'd like to do that. Great, my boss, the owner, is sitting over there, I'll go grab him for you. Now my boss has been in this business a long time. He doesn't take anyone's shit. He knows I do a good job and has my back. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this unfold. Go over to him, explain what's up, and show him the disgruntled customer. Customer tries to put up an argument, but this has clearly blown up in his face. My boss repeats what I already told him, and tells him to get out and not come back. Doesn't even want him finishing his beer. Get your coat and get out. Customer is enraged. Clearly we are power trippers that get our giggles and removing paying customers from our business. He claims you have no legal right to be doing this. My boss tells him to look up the nearest police station and file a complaint. Sometimes I love this job. This story is called I'm Out, 3 Crazy Years in the Industry. A restaurant family which I've really grown to love and respect, for the most part. I put my heart and soul into my place. I worked my tail off and basically carried the place when everyone around me quit. I stayed because I was needed, because I felt obligated, and because I loved it, as much as I hated it. Countless angry customers. Countless amazing ones. My regulars who I will miss so fucking much. The ones I saw walking up which made my heart drop. The amazing food at my work. The careless management and the disregard for sanitation. The amazing, talented chefs. The dirty-ass environment and the years of built-up gunk I scrubbed away. The wonderful coworkers I've trained and befriended. The roach infestation. The sweet, sweet adrenaline of doing a great job. The crushing shame of making a mistake. The lovely lazy days of chatting away and having time to make everyone feel special. The long, sweaty days of running around and never quite satisfying anyone. The constant physical activity which kept me somewhat fit. The pain and soreness in my hands, wrists, feet, and back. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the uglier. What a ride, you all. I was never in this for life, but there was always a voice in my head saying this is what I was born for. And another voice saying you need to GTFO. The pandemic did change everything, but I was looking for a way out long before. The recent closure was the last straw for me. I can't live without security and never knowing if I'm going to wake up and not have a job. I made $14 in tips last night. I texted my manager just now. My rock, everyone's mom, the sweetest person. She hasn't yet responded, and I'm nervous. She begged me to stay a couple months ago in the midst of outdoor dining which was destroying me. Now I can't justify sticking around. I only had 2 days this week anyway, no one can say they need me for that. She's going to be crushed and extremely stressed when she reads my message, the #1 reason I've put this off for so long. But it was time. And she has 2+ weeks before we open up for outdoor dining again, plenty of time to find a replacement. I'm going to miss it. I'm probably going to have stress dreams for the rest of my life about having to serve a dining hall full of people with no help. I'll probably stay on this sub to keep an eye on the happenings in the industry. Someday I might even come back. But today, I am free. I love you all. Thank you for everything you do, especially now. I'll never, ever, ever forget what it was like to serve. This was my first real job and my first real life experience. It's time for me to move on and think about my future. Good luck to everyone here. I wish you all the best, Blue Heart. This story is called No, Your Toddler is Not Allowed Behind the Counter. Yes, the rules do apply to you. For almost all of this past year, the dining room at the restaurant in which I work has had one big rule: don't move the tables. Of course, there's always that one family. I will note before I begin that I am usually the only person working up front and in my dining room. I'm experienced in it and it usually isn't a problem until nights like these. They came in with their kids, and I was grateful that this time I didn't have to remind them to mask up. We were fairly busy at this point, and I've got an injury healing that makes it impossible for me to go as fast as I usually do, so I just did my best to get them through my line and seated so I could get back to other orders. This is where it begins. I've seen this family before, and I know that they don't watch their kids. At all. As I'm taking their order, I have to ask them to not put their toddlers on the table in front of my counter. They ignore me. I ask again. They huff and shoot me a look but oblige. I have all of my cup lids, straws, and silverware here, things that if touched by someone need to be thrown out. I wipe down that entire table several times. A few minutes after they're seated, we get slammed. Now the way my restaurant works is that we have a drive-thru and a dining room. In both areas we're jam-packed, backed up to the nines, throwing out longer and longer wait times left and right. As I come back from bringing out food, I see not one but two people behind my counter. A toddler and a child trying to wrestle the tongs out of her hand. The child looked at me so apologetically I couldn't be mad at her, but the parents? Nowhere to be found. The second time I had to remove this child from behind my counter, I was taking an order. She had run around the corner and all the way over to where I was standing before I noticed her. I had to grab her under her arms and scoot her out from behind my counter as she wiggled and screamed and fought me. Her father, standing right there in the second line to get breadsticks, said nothing. Didn't even pick her up. They just played a little glove change after that. The third time she came behind my counter, I was absolutely furious. The first two made me angry, but this was the final straw. I all but snatched her and plunked her down out of the bounds of my counter and yelled to my dining room that any child coming behind my counter was a liability and those with children needed to keep a close eye on them. Finally, the gigantic family leaves with all of their children in tow. I think I can finally breathe again, until I go to clean their table and they have moved not one but two tables, one of which had been closed and has been closed for 10 months. There are signs everywhere. I would have corrected them had I seen it, but I was so busy I couldn't have, but I know that I've corrected them before. I remember it. So as soon as we slow down I start to move tables back. I have an injury right now that affects my ability to move heavy things. It's not impossible but it doesn't feel good, and our tables weigh quite a bit. As I'm shoving the table back up against the wall, I notice something. Purple icing. They had brought in a cake for a birthday and it was everywhere. We had to throw plates out because they were stained. I ended up taking 25 minutes just cleaning and sanitizing their tables, moving them back and reclosing one. The carpet had purple icing, food, and ice stomped into it, meaning I couldn't vacuum until I'd gotten down and picked up debris so it wouldn't be further smeared by the vacuum. We have signs, yes, and they were signs that I had to replace because they had been chewed on and were also covered in purple icing. The final straw for me that night? When everything died down, and I was cleaning up for the evening. I went into the men's bathroom to clean it before I left and there was purple icing on the faucet. This story is called Christmas Eve Fun with the Non-Believers. I'm in the UK, and my area moved from an okayish set of Tier 2 restrictions, Rule of 6, no alcohol without a substantial meal, into what works out as a local lockdown, Tier 4 for those in the know. The change happened at a minute past midnight on the 26th, everywhere is closed on the 25th, so the 24th was really the last time you could come out for a drink. 4 18 to 19-year-old lads came in, without masks, and eyes like piss holes in snow. You know the sort, you can tell they'll be a pain in your arse from a mile away. I remind them to pop their masks back on, and take them to their table. I'm giving them the spiel about how to use our QR code to order, and this, dear reader, is where you come in. So I assume we haven't all been living under a rock, we're familiar with the Tier 2 substantial meal rules. Scan the code on your table and yeah, can I get a double vodka orange juice? Interruption. Bad sign already. Hold your horses, man, you need to order a substantial meal, that's a main and a side dish each before I can take an alcohol order. Do I have to? Fuck's sake. What's the minimum? Sorry bud, it's the law, you gotta. Tortilla and fries would be the cheapest we do. I'll have fries, and a double vodka orange juice. This isn't up for negotiation, pal, you have to have a main and a side. Scan the QR code there, have a look through the menu and I'll be back in a second to see how you're doing. Now, I might not have been as patient as I usually am, but there's two of us doing the work of 6, on a normally staffed night. Rona staffing cuts, you understand. I'm usually the bartender, but I'm also stepping into the roles of host, bus, and drink runner. The GM is the only other one in, she's in the kitchen cooking, and running the food as it comes out. The phone is ringing, a table has placed a drink order, another table wants some mayo, I need to polish some glassware and another booking has arrived. I walk past our table of 4, they're moving the plastic sheets between the tables all about, having a chat with everyone around them. You can't do that, lads, they aren't in your bubble. Stick to your own group, please. Go off, spiel at the table I just sat, come back to the mouth breathers and they're chatting to a different table. This one kid really wants his drink. My phone doesn't work. Can I get double vodka orange juice? Guys, I've tried to explain to you how this works, you've ignored me, and you're interacting with other groups in the venue when I've told you not to. You're absolutely not having your double vodka orange juice. I'm not serving you anything. There's a Witherspoon's a 10-minute walk away, maybe that's more your style. That's okay, I'm sorry, we'll stop it, promise. Can I have a double vodka orange juice please? He sounded like he was talking to a teacher who was telling him off. At least he said please. Sorry chief, you've had your chances, and you ignored the advice we've all been given to keep ourselves healthy. I'm not going to have you guys down here. They started talking to us though, you need to kick them out too. I've tried to tell you how we have to do things here, you've ignored me. I saw you start that conversation and you're still breaking the rules. I'm not serving you anything. Find another bar with different interpretations of substantial meals and the rule of 6. Do you know where we come from? We're all the way from 3 hours away. You've come all that way, through all the worst hit tier 4 virus hotspots in the country, just to visit a cocktail bar turned pretty average tapas restaurant? Now I really don't want you in here, please gather your things and leave. They sat at the table for another few minutes, just to see if I'd reconsider my position. They noticed that I was ignoring their stares and waves, so they got up and left. Pretty sure I heard some finger clicking at one point. Anyway, as the last one walked out, he looked me dead in the eye, mask in hand, and said virus ain't real anyway bruv. I feel bad for those waiters. Really people, you are not the only one who exists. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and give it a big thumbs up so more people can find this channel. Tell your friends about Upvote.